with the soles of the feet on the floor. So you're in constructive rest pose. Or if there's another shape that you need to start with, feel free to do that. You might walk your feet wide and let your knees drop in so that the weight of one knee is supporting the weight of the other knee. Letting your eyes close. Maybe taking your first few breaths, just allowing yourself to be still. Good morning, Amy. I'm gonna mute you. So lying on your back, maybe hands next to the sides or on the belly, whatever feels more comforting, more grounding. And let's take a few deep belly breaths. So feeling the expansion, especially in the space between your navel and your pubic bone. And then drawing the belly button back towards the spine and really emptying out your lungs. Inhale now into your belly, but let the breath start to expand up into your ribs. So now we're taking it into the whole basket of the ribs and make it three-dimensional, front, back, and sides. Exhaling through your chest and then back to the belly, finding that gentle tug of the navel in and back. Inhale belly, inhale ribs. Now let the breath move all the way up to your collarbones. See if you can feel a widening or a broadening from one side of your collarbones to the other. And then let your collarbones soften, let your chest relax, and let the belly draw back and in. We're gonna take 2 or 3 more of those 3-part or dirga breaths, as they're called in the practice of yoga. And see if you can watch or really be inside of the breath, that your awareness is inside of this flow of breath upward. And then the next time that you take that breath all the way up, imagine now that the breath is moving up to the dome of your skull. Take one more sip of your inhale and then pause with the breath in the lungs. So very softly retaining the breath in the body for 3, 2, and on 1, exhale, release it all the way back out. If you have those knees touching one another, walk your feet underneath of your knees so you've got straight lines from your kneecap down to your ankles. And we're gonna start to do some rolling bridge poses. So I want you to think about the lifting and lowering of your spine being one vertebra at a time. That you're gonna start by lifting your tailbone up and off of the floor, and then you're gonna keep lifting, rolling until eventually you've lifted all the way up to your shoulder blades. For this one, we're gonna keep the hands next to the sides, and then the same thing to come back down again. So when we work to articulate rather than lifting and lowering all at once, this actually becomes phenomenal core work. It becomes phenomenal glute work. So you're taking your time as if you were moving through mud or molasses. Everything moving really, really slow. Keep driving those knees so that they're parallel to one another. If you notice the weight starts to come to the outer edge of your foot, bring weight back down into the big toe mound. I'm sorry if you can hear poor Ashbini. She's outside trying to tell me that I forgot her. Lifting and lowering those hips. Now the next time you've got those hips lifted, let's keep them lifted. Reach your arms up above your head so that the backs of your hands are resting on the floor. Squeeze your glutes and then drag your heels towards your glutes as well as you lengthen your fingertips towards the space behind you. Press your back of your head into the floor. And then exhale nice and slow, lower all the way back down again. Bring your hands back down next to your sides. Let's lift again, sweep those arms up above your head. And this time you're gonna lift your right leg up. So you're bringing your right knee in line with your left knee. That right leg should be at a diagonal. Let your hips lower all the way back down again, but keep your right leg lifted. Bring your hands next to your sides. So pressing into just your left foot, lift your hips, arms up above the head. Keep that right foot hovering so that it's at that diagonal. And bring the hands and the hips all the way back down again. We're gonna do just one more with that right leg. Taking the arms up above the head. Keep reaching through your right heel and try to level your pelvis off. And then exhale, let everything lower all the way back down again. Hug your right knee in towards your chest and extend your left leg out long on the floor for Apanasana pose. So you're interlacing your fingers either around the back of your right thigh or around the outside of your right shin and extending your left heel forward. Compression on your psoas muscle. Try to press the back of your left thigh down. Squeeze that right thigh in so that there's maybe contact between your ribs and your leg. And then extend the arms and the legs, lengthening in both directions before sliding the soles of the feet onto the floor again and bringing your hands back next to your sides. Press down to lift. One more time, we're gonna do that rolling bridge. This time the left leg will lift. So arms are up above the head. You're pressing the back of the head into the floor. Squeeze your glutes and reach that left heel forward. We've got that leg at a diagonal line, so the knees are in line with one another. And then exhale, lower the hips down and release the hands next to your sides. 2 more times. Press down into that right foot. Lift it up. Reach your tailbone towards the back of that left heel. So we want the lower back to be long. We should feel the front body engaging a little bit here. And then exhale, release. Hands next to the sides, hips down. One last time. Lift it up. Press it as high as you can. Squeeze those glutes. And then exhale, hips down. Left knee in towards your chest. Right leg extends forward. Upper body stays as relaxed as you can possibly get it. Yeah, and you can add in other movements. Always appreciate, like Amy, if you need to move a little bit, feel free. You might wiggle an ankle. Oh. Deanna, I'm sorry to just be letting you in. I haven't figured out yet how to just let people join at any point. All right, let's bring both knees into the chest now and start to rock and roll forward to back. You're rock and rolling forward to back, until eventually you're coming into a seated position. Hands at the backs of your thighs. We're going to do just a little bit of core work here. So starting to lift your feet up to the height of your knees, drawing the shoulder blades together on your back, pulling that navel back towards the spine. And then once you feel pretty balanced, you're going to reach your fingertips towards the outer edges of your feet. Chest is lifted, shoulder blades are drawing down and together, and we want that long side body, that strong lower abdominal region. Fingertips start to reach a little bit further towards the pinky edges of your feet. Now inhale, reach your arms all the way up to frame your ears, and exhale, hands over towards the right edge of the mat. Keep those knees driving up. Inhale, arms lift, and exhale, switch it. Left to right. We're gonna take those arms side to side. Inhale, reach, and then exhale, twist. Keep it moving for 3. If you need to bring feet to the floor, that's always an option, but best of your ability, you're keeping those knees driving towards your chest and your heels the height of your knees. 2 more. Nice work. Arms reach up, maybe, just maybe, those legs straighten, those toes point. Yes. And then cross those ankles, place your palms to the floor, and let's step it back to downward facing dog. So taking the sides of the waist up and back. And this first downward facing dog you can really take for a walk. You can find whatever movements you so desire in your downward facing dog. A little wag of your hips side to side. Making sure though that those hips are moving up and back. So you're pressing into all 10 of your fingers. Dana, really root down through that pointer finger and thumb. Yes, that's gorgeous. And then bend your knees and poke your sits bones way up towards the sky. Start to find a little bit more of a tip forward in your pelvis. And then start to roll forward through your spine so that you're coming into a high plank pose, so that your shoulders stack over your wrists. Always the option to bring your knees down to the floor. We're gonna transition all the way onto the belly. So coming all the way down onto the mat. Now bend your right knee, squeeze your right heel towards your right glute. And we're just really trying to press that thigh down into the floor as you lengthen your right knee away from you, which you should feel on the front of your quadricep, maybe in your psoas a little bit. And then you're gonna press down into your left toes and lift up into a low cobra pose. Look over your right shoulder. Lower all the way back down to your forehead. Lower your right foot all the way down to the floor and switch it out. Left heel lifts towards left glute. Start to roll up into your cobra pose and then look over your left shoulder. Squeeze that heel down towards your butt and lengthen your left knee forward. And then lower it all the way back down to your belly. We're gonna take that side to side. So working to engage, it's an active lengthening of your quadricep. Heel towards glute, which you should feel squeeze the booty a little bit, and bring it all the way back down to the floor. left to right at your own pace. But I do want you to think about that kneecap, whatever leg is bent, that kneecap moving away from the hip. For 3, press your hip bones down. For 2, last 1. Curl your toes under. See if you can lift your kneecaps off of the floor here by firming up your quadriceps. Firm up your lower belly, take a big breath in, and then exhale, press straight to the top of a push-up and take your hips back, find downward facing dog. Bend your knees, poke your butt way up towards the sky, and work to lengthen the sides of your waist so the weight isn't all in your arms. Now walk forward towards the top of the mat. You're gonna come into a forward fold, bending your knees, rolling up your spine 1 vertebra at a time to come all the way up to stand. And then once you've arrived up at the top, you're gonna sweep those arms out and up, bringing your palms to press above your head. Exhale to release your hands down in front of your heart. So you're coming to Samastitihi. Same action again. Inhale, arms reach up. And exhale, hands to heart center. One last time, take a big breath in, lengthen those arms, move the arm bones back a little bit now, elbows hug in tight, fingertips reach sky high, and then exhale, we're gonna fold forward this time. So bending the knees, poking your butt way back, keeping the chest lifted, we bring it all the way down to the floor. Joe, that was a really nice transition. Hands slide up to the shin bones, come up halfway, and then exhale, plant your palms and step your feet back to your bent knee, downward facing dog. So we're going all the way back to downward facing dog first, and that way we can work on this spinal mobility or articulation. Start to scoop your tailbone, so that starts the action of rolling forward through the spine, and then we take it 1 vertebra at a time to that high plank pose. So the legs will eventually begin to straighten, and the spine goes long. Again, the option to bring the knees all the way down to the floor, elbows hug in tight, we're gonna bring it all the way down onto our bellies. Take your left arm out to the side of the body at a 90-degree angle. So the arm is straight, but it's lining up with your torso at a 90-degree angle. Turn your head in the direction of your right hand, and then press or roll onto your left side. So where we're feeling the stretch is across your collarbones, kind of where your armpit is, and then you're bending that top knee and placing the right foot behind the left thigh. So the knee is opening towards the ceiling, which should give you a nice stretch in your inner thigh and your groin. Maybe tiptoeing those left fingertips a little bit further away so that stretch gets a little bit more juicy. And then roll it all the way onto your belly and switch sides. Left arm comes in front of the chest, right arm extends out. Switch the turn of your head.
I disagree. Can I say something? I disagree, but it's kind of bad on that person.
Not sure what's going on there. There we go. All right. Roll all the way onto your belly again. And then bring your hands next to your shoulders. You're going to press to the top of a push-up. And then press those hips back to downward facing dog. Now look forward to the top of the mat, take a giant step, right foot steps towards right thumb, left foot steps towards left thumb, find your half lift, and exhale, release to your forward folds. Inhale those arms all the way out and up, bringing your palms to press above your head, this time adding a little bit of a back bend, so keep the firming of your thighs, hips forward, elbows bend, draw the shoulder blades down the back, tilt your elbows forward, and curl your chest up. So we're not just leaning back, we want to think about kind of curling the chest up towards the sky. Inhale, arms reach back up to frame your ears. Exhale, fold it all the way back down to the floor. Inhale, find your half lift. Exhale, plant your palms, and this time you might step or you might jump back to bent knee, downward facing dog. Come up onto the balls of the feet, and then spring those feet all the way back, hips high. Roll forward through your spine, coming into your high plank pose. Exhale to lower all the way onto your belly. This time, you're gonna bend both of your knees, lengthen those kneecaps forward, press down into your hands, start to curl up into your cobra pose, and then press both feet all the way down to the floor and see if you can lift up a little bit higher. So now I want you to imagine that there's a connection between your head and your heels. As your head lowers, your feet are lifted up. Heels towards your glutes. Lengthen those kneecaps forward, flex your feet. Then press into your hands, start to rock back, and it brings the feet back down to the floor. Elbows hug in tight, hands pull back. So elbows are touching the sides of the ribs, Deanna. If you want to pull them in a little closer to your rib cage, yes, beautiful. And then bring it all the way back down to your belly. We're going to do that 2 more times at your own pace. Heels towards glutes, press down to lift, and then press the feet down. See if you can curl open a little bit more. Last one, shoulders are relaxing down and away from the ears. Heels towards glutes, active squeeze. Press down to rise up. Lower all the way back down to your forehead, curl the toes under, fire up your legs in your belly, press straight up to the top of a push-up, and straight back to downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg goes up towards the sky. Exhale, right foot steps all the way through for Anjaneyasana variation. Back knee lowers all the way down to the floor. Bring your hands onto your front thigh. So for some of us, this next piece, you need to adjust where you're resting on your left kneecap. I find that if I curl my back toes under and scoot my back knee back a little bit, I'm not resting so much on the kneecap, but more on the top of the thigh. That's what we want to find. Drive the pelvis forward, and then see if you can pull those left toes up towards your left glute. Keep driving your hips towards the front of the mat. So rolling that left hip forward. Now, if it feels like a lot on that back kneecap, I recommend taking your mat and rolling it up underneath so that you have just a little bit more of a cushion. So that heel is pulling towards the glute, but you're staying upright. One more big breath in. Press into your hands to see if you can bring your shoulders back in line with your hips. And then bring that back foot all the way down to the floor. Straighten your front leg. So the toes are reaching up towards the ceiling, and the arms are going to reach back behind you for now. So think long spine, head to hips. Chest is forward, gaze is forward. Bring all 4 corners of that right foot back to the floor. Bend your left knee again. Draw left heel towards left glute. Move arm bones back, look up. And then exhale, same thing again. Straighten your front leg and sweep those arms back behind you. Pull your right hip crease back, which is going to make it a little bit more juicy on the outside of that right hip and in the hamstring. Last one, bring it forward, all 4 corners of that right foot down, left heel towards left glute. Now release your hands all the way down to the mat. Curl your back toes under, and we're going to take this forward with the same kind of shape that we've been making. I want you to imagine that you could hold a tray on your left foot. Hands are either on blocks or on the floor. Left hip is facing the mat, and you're kicking that left heel up towards the ceiling. Close off through your front body a little bit, so the hips and the ribs are closed off so that you've got your lower belly to support you. Reach that left heel up a little bit higher, and then see if you can rise all the way to stand. Keep that left heel kicking back. Move the arms back, lift, 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 and then curl that left knee into your chest. We're not going to hold on to the foot. I want you to round through your spine. So bringing your forehead down towards your shin, left foot stays actively flexed, and your fingertips are reaching down towards the floor. Hollow the navel up and in. Now step your left foot all the way down to the floor and reach your arms all the way up towards the sky. Exhale, elbows bend, hips forward, curl the chest open, open, open. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, fold all the way back down. Find your half lift. Plant your palms, step or jump those feet back to bent knee down dog. Land it light, roll forward through your spine, high plank pose. Exhale, lower all the way down onto the belly. Walk your feet wide. Toes are pointing towards the corner edges of the mat. And then bend your knees and bring your big toes together. Press into your hands, lengthen those kneecaps forward, and start to curl up. So if you need a little bit more space, if it feels like it's a little junky in your shoulders, move your hands a little bit closer to the top of the mat. So they're not next to your shoulders, but they're in front of your shoulders. And you're pressing down to lift up. Traction your hands back, lean your head back, draw your toes towards the back of your head. Lower belly pulls towards the spine. Nice, nice. You guys look fantastic. Take one more big breath in, Candy, that's beautiful. Exhale, lower all the way back down onto your belly. Curl those toes under and press straight to the top of a push-up. Press straight back to downward facing dog. Nice. All right, this time left leg lifts up and back. Curl the left knee in towards your nose. Step the left foot all the way through to the space between your hands. And let your back knee come all the way down to the floor. Now let's make sure that that front knee doesn't come in front of the ankle. So if you need to, shimmy that front foot forward a little bit. Bring your hands onto your front thigh. Remember that if you needed a little cushioning for that back knee, you might want to get that set up now. Yeah, nice, Lisa. I know it can be a little brutal in that transition, but this is such a nice way to make it more dynamic in the way that we're stretching. Start to curl your right heel towards your right glute. Right heel curls in. Press down into those hands so that you're really lifting up, that side body gets long, and you're lining your shoulders up with your hips as you squeeze your right heel in towards that right glute. Might get a little cramping, that's pretty normal, especially when we're first starting to build strength. And then bring that foot all the way back down to the floor and start to straighten your front leg. Arms will reach back. So it's like a look mom, no hands version of doing a half split pose. Okay, you can come up onto the left heel if you like. Lisa, that looks great. And then start to bring it forward again. Bring all four corners of that foot to the floor. As the arms reach up, that right heel draws in towards the right glute. And yeah, you can keep the hands on the front thigh. That's always an option if that feels like it's more supportive. All right, let's start to move front to back at the pace that makes sense for you. So we're all built a little differently. See if you can find a pace that allows you to really kind of land each posture with a punctuation mark, bringing it forward to back. Nice, Amy. That's nice fluid motion, beautiful. One last time. All right, when we bring it forward again, let your hands release all the way down to frame your front foot. And then we're gonna take that right leg straight back behind us. So remember that it's the same shape. Our booties are gonna feel this tomorrow. Right heel towards the ceiling, sucking those bottom two ribs in so you feel your core supporting you, that you're not letting it dump into the lower back. Lift that foot way, way, way up towards the sky until you really feel your hamstring and your glute engage. And then see if you can rise all the way to stand. So keeping all four corners of that left foot on the floor as the arms reach all the way up. Kick that heel back, move the arms back, look up, and then curl that right knee in towards your chest. So making the opposite shape. We're not holding onto the foot, we're reaching fingertips down and we're finding that hollow front body. Suck the belly button back, maybe even your nose and your knee touch. And then step that foot to the floor and reach your arms all the way out and up. Bring your palms to press above your head. Exhale to your cactus arms, hips forward, starting to take the gaze back and back and back if you wanted to open it up into a deeper back bend. Pay attention to what's happening in your lower back though. Inhale, arms reach back up. Exhale, knees bend, hinge at the hips, fold all the way back down to the floor. Inhale, half lift. Plant your palms, step or jump back. This time let's take it to a traditional chaturanga. So roll forward, high plank pose. Exhale, lower halfway down. Press back, tops of the feet come to the floor, legs are straight, hips are lifted, traction those hands back, and then roll over the toes and send the sides of the waist towards the back of the room for downward facing dog again. All right, so right leg is gonna reach up towards the sky. Open the hip this time, so right knee is lifted up towards the ceiling, but left hip crease pulls back. And you're gonna circle that right knee forward just a few times. And then lift that right foot up towards the sky, but close the hip off. So we're not opening the hip anymore. That right leg is reaching high. I know a few of you have taken my class a couple times this week, but it takes time to build a vocabulary in the body. We'll practice this again. Option, if you'd like, to come up onto your left fingertips. So you're gonna keep that right foot lifted, right knee bent, right hip closed towards the floor. Really squeeze your right glute and your hamstring. If you up on those left fingertips, see if you can extend your left arm forward. Yes, yes. Final option, Dana's got it. You're gonna reach back with your left hand for your opposite foot. Yes. Yes. Nice work. Oh, Candy, that's beautiful. So close, yes. It's that last second. The slower you move, the better. One last try if you're working on it. Okay, let's release that back foot if you've got it. Nice, Joe. You're gonna curl the knee in towards the nose, roll forward, step that right foot all the way up to the space between your hands. Spin your back foot out so you're in warrior one. Anchoring into that back heel. Back foot is at a 45-degree angle. Front knee is bent, and then scissor those inner thighs towards one another as you reach your arms all the way up to frame your ears. Bring your hands behind you, interlace your fingers. So we're spreading the collarbones without completely collapsing the shoulder blades together, but the shoulder blades are drawing down as you reach your knuckles towards the floor. Let your chest lift up towards the sky. Keep driving into the bend of your front knee and tractioning those inner thighs together, reaching down through that back heel as your anchor. We're gonna start to fold to the inside of that front leg. So you're letting your forehead release down towards the floor. We're keeping the equal weight from front to back. So if your left foot starts to lift, or if you start to feel like your right knee is coming too far forward, find that back leg. Arms are moving up and over your head. And if you can, you might even bring your palms to touch. You might even squeeze those hands together, but they're behind the back. Arms are coming up and over. Yeah, yes, that's it, Lisa. Relax your neck and your shoulders. The work of your inner thighs is going to support you. Let your arms lift you. We're going to rise all the way back up. Knuckles down, chest lifts. Arms reach up to frame the ears. Bend the elbows into the shape of a cactus. And then bring your right elbow underneath of your left elbow. We're going to wind the arms up into Garudasana. So it's like your arms are ropes. You might work to bring your palms together. And then move your thumbs away from your face, your elbows away from your chest. Straighten your front leg, and you're gonna pivot, and I'll just turn so you guys can see me, so that you're facing the long edge of the mat. So toes are turning forward. Lift those elbows a little bit higher, open the gaze up towards the ceiling, and then exhale, start to fold. So you're gonna bring the weight forward towards the front of your feet, releasing the forehead down towards the floor, lifting your sits bones way up towards the ceiling. Unwind your arms so that your right palm is underneath of your face, and then extend your left arm up towards the ceiling. So you're in a twist now. Your right hand, it's not back by your feet, it should be forward. And then without your hips turning, you're turning from your belly and your chest, and that left arm is reaching up towards the sky. I want you to really feel the space across your collarbones. So press down into the floor and then widen across your chest as you reach out through those left fingers. Swim the left arm underneath of your right arm. Left arm comes underneath of your right arm, and you're gonna catch the opposite calf, ankle, or foot. So left arm underneath the right arm like you were threading a needle, and you're catching your opposite ankle or calf or the outside of the knee. And then walk your right hand towards the back of the mat. Look underneath of your armpit. Big stretch along the side of the body, across your armpit. You might even bend that left elbow a little bit to make it a little bit more of a twist. Release the bind and start to walk both of your hands forward towards that right foot. Turn your right toes forward and bring your back knee all the way down to the floor. So you're in that Anjaneyasana preparation again. Hands to your front thigh, bend your back knee, draw that heel in towards your glute, and then with your left hand, catch the top of the foot, squeeze it in. So we're leaning back, we're working to bring the torso back rather than leaning forward if we can. Remember that you can adjust how you are on that kneecap and that you can cushion it a little bit, but you're squeezing the heel in towards the glute, looking forward. Taking one more big breath in, and then release that back foot all the way back down to the floor. Let's straighten the front leg, so we're coming into Ardha Hanumanasana. So right leg goes out in front of you. This time hands are on the mat. And you're gonna pull that right hip crease back as you fold over that front leg, bringing your forehead down towards your shin. Start to bring the weight even further back. I want you to see if you can bring yourself into a half variation of hero pose. So what that means is that your left heel is right next to your left glute and that your left knee is on the floor. If this pose doesn't feel comfortable for you from seated, you can sit on a block, or you can even come to stand for a few breaths. Still more, you might bring your hands behind you, and you're gonna work to bring maybe your forearms to the mat, keeping your chest lifted. Drive that left knee forward, lift your chest. And then walk the hands back up the mat. Here's a transition for you. You're gonna start to bring the weight back towards that right foot. So you might use your hands a little bit, but you're gonna bring all four corners of that right foot to the floor. And then from here, we're gonna take it all the way up. We're gonna bring that left heel towards the sky. All right, first try at Nadarajasana, at dancer pose. We're gonna take a revolved variation. I want you to reach back with your opposite hand. Right hand will catch your left foot. Pull your right hip crease back. Maybe bend that right knee slightly, but lift your belly off of your right thigh. See if you can lift your left fingertips off of the floor, bringing the hand in front of the chest, and then kick the foot back and lift the foot up. We want to notice that there's a tendency, and I'll come forward for you guys to see this. There's a tendency for that left hip to wander back. See if you can square the pelvis off. Keep that pelvis square as the foot kicks, the chest lifts. So you're rising all the way to stand. And if you lose it on the way, no big deal. Take your time. See if you can bring that left hand in front of the chest and come all the way to stand. Yes. Yes, Lisa, that was fantastic. Joe, that looks beautiful. All right, release the foot. Curl the knee in towards your chest. Reach your fingertips down towards the floor. And then step the feet hips width distance apart and reach those arms all the way out and up. Palms come to press. Exhale, elbows bend, hips forward, curl the chest open, 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 open. Arms back up. Fold all the way back down to the mat. Inhale to your half lift. Exhale, release to your forward fold. Any variation of vinyasa you'd like. So you might step straight back to downward facing dog. You might be practicing a jump back. If you wanted to add a little push-up or two like Joe's doing, that's great. But no, you can also skip. Finding your way all the way back to your downward facing dog. Nice. All right, left foot lifts or left knee lifts towards the sky. So that left knee is bent and you're opening the hip to start. You can circle that knee a little bit forward a few times. Yeah, you've got it. You're just giving that knee a little circle in the air. What we're looking for is to create a little range of motion through that left hip socket. And then lift that foot way up towards the ceiling. You guys are so good at doing yoga with pets. I haven't figured that out yet. All right, that left knee bends like you could put the foot on the ceiling. And I want you to feel the glute in the hamstring. It's lifting way up towards the sky without the hip opening. Come up onto your right fingertips. Recalibrate your balance here. And maybe that's all. You can stay with that. Still more, see if you can extend, really nice, Candy, if you can extend that left hand, or right hand forward rather. Yeah, and if you lose your balance, start over, try again. You're working to reach back and catch the top of the foot. Dana, that's beautiful. Awesome. Nice, Amy. All right, release the foot if you have it. Bring both hands to the floor. That one is really like a sneaky core exercise. The more there's this suction action of the hand and the foot that are on the floor, it'll help you to balance. But it's a great way to get at the core without having to think about doing core work. All right, curl that knee in towards your nose. Step your left foot all the way through to the space between your hands. So left foot comes all the way forward. Spin your back foot out at that 45-degree angle. Press down into your feet to rise up. So you're working to parallel those hips towards the top of the mat by tractioning inner thighs. It's like a scissor action, especially that right inner thigh scissors forward, which is gonna level off those hips. Press that left big toe towards the front of the mat so that you've got that nice 90-degree angle. Bring your hands behind you, interlace your fingers behind the back, and then reach those knuckles down towards the floor to open through your heart. Let's stay open for a moment so that you're really working to find that space across the chest. And then exhale to fold to the inside of your front leg. There can be a tendency when we start to come forward for the weight to come forward into that front foot. Keep your anchor. You can relax your neck, letting your forehead release down towards your leg and move the arms up and over your head. Yeah, that's beautiful. Nice, Deanna. Two more breaths. The more you keep those legs working, the more stability you have as you rise all the way back up again. Inhale, lifting. Sweep those arms all the way back up to frame your ears. And then exhale, you're gonna bring it into that cactus shape. So elbows are bending into the shape of a cactus. And you're gonna bring the left elbow underneath of the right elbow, winding the arms up like ropes. And if you can, you're working to bring your palms together. So you might have to kind of shimmy them a little bit so that your fingers are lining up. And then move the thumbs away from the face, the elbows away from the chest. Pivot so that you're facing the long edge of the mat, so that your feet are like equal signs. So we don't want the toes turning out. We want them maybe even slightly pigeon-toed. Lift those elbows way up. Start to make it into a little bit of a back bend. Gaze goes up. And then exhale, start to hinge at your hips to fold forward. Nice, long, flat back. And as your forehead releases down towards the floor, you're gonna unwind your arms. Plant your left palm maybe slightly off of your mat so that it's directly underneath of your face when you have that nice long spine parallel to the floor. Reach your right arm up towards the ceiling. So you've got this twist, and there can be a tendency for the hips to go with it. Lisa, this is fantastic. The pelvis looks really, really level. You can even use that hand, that extended right arm, bringing it to the back of your pelvis to notice if one side of the pelvis is tipped up or down. I know it can be hard to figure out, but do your best to see if you can really level it off so that when you're turning your belly and your chest, but not your hips. Then re-extend that arm. Taking one more big breath in, pressing down into the hand that's on the floor to give yourself that wingspan. Reach up through your right fingers and then thread the needle. Right arm comes underneath of your left arm. So you're coming all the way through and your right hand is catching the outside of that left foot. Maybe you're catching the outside of the calf or ankle if that's more accessible. Walk your left fingertips over to the right and look underneath of your armpit. And you're gonna pull a little bit. So that right elbow is pulling you into the twist. Again, that right hip might want to come with. See if you can pull that right hip crease back. Release the twist. Walk your hands forward so that you're turning into your lunge. Both sets of toes turning to face the top of the mat. Back knee bending and coming all the way down to the floor. Bring your hands onto your front thigh. Bend your right knee, draw the heel towards the glute, maybe reaching back with your hand. Squeeze and draw in. I want you to think about lengthening your tailbone down. So the very base of your spine is reaching towards the floor rather than letting it really wag back behind you. And then press your front hand into your front thigh to draw your shoulders back in line with your hips, which is going to intensify that stretch. One more big breath in. And then release that back foot, hands to the floor, start to straighten your front leg for Ardha Hanumanasana, half split pose. Activating those left toes sky high. Lift your sits bones, the bones that are in your butt, towards the ceiling and hinge forward from your pelvis to fold over that front leg. Stretching out that front hamstring, maybe even a little bit of that outside of that left hip. Now start to walk your hands back towards your leg, and you might even slide your right knee forward a little bit, but you're gonna bring yourself down into half hero pose, which means that you've got your right knee facing straight out in front of you. You've got your right heel right next to your right glute. And then from here, you might bring your hands behind you, lift the chest. You might bring your forearms all the way down to the floor. But keep that right knee grounded. Really reach that right knee forward and then press down into your forearms to lift. And then walk the hands back up towards the front leg. Hands are on the mat, maybe it's just fingertips on the floor. You're gonna bend that left knee, slide the left foot to the mat, and then extend the right heel sky high. Now you're reaching back with your opposite hand, left hand to right foot. Bend into your standing leg a little bit. It might give you just a little bit more traction. Really squeeze the outside of that left glute. Belly is strong. See if you can bring your right fingertips to your chest. And then rise all the way up, all the way up, all the way up. Don't worry if you lose it on the way. Just re-find it again, opposite hand to foot. And then kick that foot back and open through your chest. Right arm reaches towards the ceiling. Nice. And then release the foot. Curl the knee in towards your chest. Reach your fingertips towards the outer edges. And then step that foot to the floor. Reach your arms up to frame your ears. Exhale, elbows, cactus, chest curls open. Inhale, arms up, and exhale, release all the way back down to the floor. Inhale, half lifts. Exhale, plank your palms. Step or jump those feet back, vinyasa or don't. We meet in downward facing dog. It's so fun seeing everybody's variations, the way that we figure out that works best for us for our vinyasas. All right, so from here, right leg lifts up towards the sky. Right knee bends, right hip opens. This time, let's flip our dog. So bringing your right foot all the way over to the left side of the mat. Rotating the hips to face up towards the ceiling. Wrap your shoulder blades together here and then lengthen your right arm forward. Open, open, open. Yeah, so you're coming all the way up and over here. And then bring it back around again. Bringing that right hand back to the floor, right leg goes sky high. Exhale, step that right foot all the way up in between your hands, warrior one. Again, back heel grounds, arms reach up. Hands behind you, interlace your fingers, knuckles reach down, collarbone spread. Exhale, fold to the inside of that front leg. Arms moving up and over for your humble warrior pose. Pull your right hip crease back so that your tailbone is steering straight back behind you. Inhale, rise all the way back up. Arms sweep back up to frame your ears. Bend the elbows like a cactus. Right elbow underneath of left elbow. Let's find Garudasana arms. Elbows lift away from the chest. Straighten your front leg, pivot your toes. You're facing the side of your mat. You're facing in that wide straddle fold. And then exhale, fold all the way down. Plant your right hand underneath of you, directly underneath of your face. Left arm lifts up towards the ceiling. Thread the needle. Left arm comes underneath of the right arm, catching the outer edge of your calf, ankle, or foot. Walk your right hand over towards the left edge of the mat. Look underneath of your armpit, big twist. Let it get a little bit more juicy this time. So opening up all that fascia around your shoulders. Release the outer edge of the foot. Pivot yourself to face forward. And this time you're going to bring your back knee all the way down to the floor, and you're going to bring your forearms all the way down to the mat. If your forearms don't come all the way down, you can stay up on your hands or you can use blocks. I'm going to turn this way so you have a different view. You guys can stay where you are. But you're bringing forearms down in your lizard lunge, and you're going to rock to the pinky edge of that right foot. So you're flaring that foot away from you. Now bend your back knee, draw the heel in towards your glute. Reach back with your right hand, catch the top of the foot. Draw the foot in towards your glute with your hand, and then turn your gaze over that shoulder. We're going to do a little work to open up the shoulder as well here. So to Joe's point, he was trying to figure out earlier whether he feels a little stuck in the rotation across the collarbone or whether it is an issue of the leg. So from here, you're going to kick the foot into the hand until you start to feel the stretch across that right collarbone. Let it really open, open, open. Take the gaze up and over that right shoulder. Kick the foot back. Release that foot all the way down to the floor. We're going to step it back. So curling left toes under, right foot steps back to meet the left foot. Elbows hugging in back, we're going to lower all the way down onto the belly. Now kick your right heel in towards your right glute here. Or actually, let's do left foot since we just did left leg. So left heel draws in towards left glute. And I want you to see if you can catch the top of the foot with the hand, driving the knee forward, or behind you rather, but drawing that heel towards the side of your butt. Extend your right arm forward like you're karate chopping the floor. So the pinky edge of the hand is resting on the mat. Start to kick the foot back and let that broaden across your collarbone. So if you want, you can even catch the inner edge of the foot. Sometimes that helps with that shoulder rotation. Start to lift that left knee off of the floor and start to lift your head. Lift your right hand off of the floor. Lift your right foot off of the floor. Kick and lift. Kick and lift. So this is dancer pose without the balance. Opening through the chest. Look forward, forward, forward. For 3, pull that left knee in towards center. For 2, lift a little bit higher. And on 1, exhale, release. Hands underneath of your forehead. Take a little wiggle of your hips side to side. Side number 2, left heel draws in towards left glute. Catch the top of the foot. See if you can really pull that foot down towards the side of your hip. Left arm goes forward so that the pinky edge of your hand is karate chopping the floor. Kick your right foot into your right hand. Let that lift your chest. Lift your right foot off of the floor, or right knee off of the floor rather. Lift your left foot. Lift your left hand. So everything is off of the mat. Keep pulling that right knee in towards center, but kick the foot back. Opening that right side of your collarbones. Lift a little higher. Look forward for 3, breathing deep. For 2. And 1, exhale, hands release underneath of your forehead. Take a little wiggle side to side. All right, let's bring the hands forward, elbows lining up with the shoulders. So it's like a preparation for Sphinx pose. Elbows are slightly in front of the shoulders, the arms are like equal signs. Your fingertips are on the floor. We're gonna press into the tops of the feet, and you're gonna start to lift first your hips, then the fronts of your thighs, then your kneecaps. So this is a little bit of core work here. It's the tops of the feet on the floor rather than toes curled under. Scoop your tailbone back towards your heels. Lift the lower belly, breathing for 3. Breathing for 2, look forward. And on 1, lower first your shins, your knees, your hips, and then your pelvis. Traction the hands back to draw the chest forward. We're gonna do that again. Pressing into the tops of the toes. First, lift your hips. We're closing off through that front body, so you're hollowing out your navel. You're lifting your thighs, you're lifting your knees, you're lifting your shins, hovering those legs. I know this is brutal, guys. Stay with me. Steady that breath for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower the shins, lower the knees, lower the thighs, lower the hips. Pull the hands back towards the elbows to open through the chest. Slide the hands underneath of your shoulders. Press straight to the top of a push-up and straight back to downward facing dog. Take a vinyasa if you'd like in between sides. That's where we're gonna meet, or if you need a little rest, know you can always come to child's pose. All right, so second side here. Left leg lifts up and back. Left knee bends, left hip opens, and we're gonna bring it all the way up and over. Find your wild thing pose. So hips flip, and you're gonna wrap those shoulder blades together, lengthening left fingertips towards the left or towards the front of the room. Really press up and out of that bottom shoulder joint. Bring the left hand all the way back down to the floor. Left leg goes sky high. Step the left foot all the way up in between your hands, warrior 1. Back foot anchors, arms reach up. Hands come behind you, interlace your fingers. Knuckles reach down like you were throwing an anchor. And then exhale, fold to the inside of that left leg. Keep that right heel on the ground as you move your arms up and over your head. Pull that left butt cheek back. Inhale, rise all the way back up again. Arms reach up to frame your ears. Exhale, elbows bend into the shape of a cactus, left elbow underneath of your right elbow. Wind it up. Thumbs move away from the face, elbows away from the chest. Straighten your front leg, pivot so that you're facing the long edge of your mat. Exhale to fold forward. Plant your left hand a little bit off of your mat, right arm up towards the sky, thread the needle. Right arm comes underneath of your left arm. And then start to walk your left fingertips over towards the right. Find a little bit of a tug. So right elbow bends and you're pulling to take your gaze underneath of that left armpit. And then release and pivot to face forward. Let your back knee lower all the way down to the floor. Bring both hands to the inside of that front foot for your lizard lunge. There's still a little bit of that squeeze of inner thighs towards one another. Give yourself the space. So you're walking that left knee all the way over to the left, and then maybe your forearms are coming down. And then from here, you're flaring to the outside of that left foot. Bend your back knee, reach back with the opposite hand. So left hand catches right foot. Draw the heel in towards the glute, spiraling your gaze up and over the shoulder. So Deanna, make sure that you walk that front foot, that left foot comes way forward. You wanna make sure that your left foot is completely grounded and that your leg is at a 90-degree angle. So Deanna, walk that left foot way, way, way forward. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. A little bit more. I know it seems like a lot. That's it, there you go. And then you can catch that back foot. Now let's kick the foot away. So this time, that left hand is catching that right foot and you're kicking the foot away to find a little bit more space across the front of your collarbones. And then release that back foot all the way down to the floor. Bring both hands to the mat and step back to your high plank pose. Exhale, bring it all the way down onto your belly. So let's take that back bend practice a little bit further again. You're gonna bend both of your knees, kicking your heels towards your glutes. Reach back with your hands and catch the tops of your feet. Start by drawing the heels towards the butt and lengthening your knees away from you. Then start to flex your feet and kick your feet away from your butt to lift your chest. Then lift your thighs off of the floor. Looking forward, keep squeezing those thighs in towards midline so you're opening through your chest. 5 deep breaths. Keep lifting those feet up and kicking those heels back. 4, belly strong. 3, 2, and on 1, release. Bring it all the way back down. Bring your hands next to your shoulders and press your hips back to your heels. Let's come into a child's pose. So you can bring the knees close together for this child's pose. Let your forehead come to rest on the mat. Maybe take a little movement, a little action side to side. A lot of back bending in our practice today. And then walk your hands back towards your legs to roll yourself up into a seated position. Cross your ankles, and we're gonna take it all the way down onto our backs. So soles of the feet are on the floor, and you're gonna very, very slowly release down, 1 vertebra at a time, until you're laying all the way down onto your back. And you're walking your feet in close enough that you can touch the back of your heels with your middle finger for 1 final back bend. Bridge pose or full wheel, it's up to you. If you're taking full wheel, hands come next to your ears, fingers facing down towards your shoulders. You're gonna press onto the top of your head first. So lifting first onto the top of your head and then straightening those arms all the way. Try to work towards straightening your arms. Make sure that your knees are staying parallel. If you need more space for your lower back, come up onto the balls of the feet. Chest is pressing towards the space behind you. Otherwise, you're lifting those hips, walking those arms underneath of you, interlacing your fingers and reaching your knuckles towards your heels. Either option is fine. So if your arms don't straighten, stick with that bridge pose. 3 more breaths. 2. And on 1, exhale, release, bringing it all the way back down to the mat. Draw your knees in towards your chest. Bring your arms out to the sides of the body and let both legs drop over towards the right for a spinal twist. Head turning in the opposite direction of your legs. Inhale, draw those legs back up to center, and exhale, let them drop to the opposite side. And then inhale the legs all the way back up to center. If you needed to make any more shapes, you could take a happy baby. If anybody needs to get upside down, I know we didn't do much inversion today. We were pretty hell-bent on the back bending practice. Feel free to either take the legs up the wall. If you have a wall available to you, you might even move into your Shavasana in that way, just kind of spinning yourself so that your hips are right up against the molding and the legs extend up. Or if you wanted to practice a headstand rather than taking Shavasana. Bye, see you next time, Candy. But we're finding our way into whatever restful position works for you. If you're coming into shoulder stands, I know it's tempting to want to look at what's happening on the camera. Keep your gaze up towards the sky. When we take the legs over the head, we're putting a lot of pressure on the cervical spine. And so when we turn our head side to side, when we have that weight on it, bad things can happen. And I don't want bad things to happen in yoga. Yeah, so this is your rest. Maybe eventually landing with the legs and the arms extended out, so the whole back of the body is just resting on the floor. Breathe in as if you were breathing in through every single pore on your body. And imagine that breath washing out any of the stuck spaces. And when that washing out is complete, imagine the back of your body growing porous. So there was a sense of release, that any of that fluff, any of that excess, the stuff that you were ready to let go of gets to escape through the back of the body and seeps down into the earth. Inhaling through the skin. Opening up and exhaling through the back. So it becomes this kind of constant flow. You might even find that with that inhale, as you breathe in through the skin, there's a sense of breathing up from the earth. So you're breathing in all of this grounded, potent, stable energy into your body. And then very, very slowly start to come back. You might add a little bit of movement, a little wiggle. Letting your breath begin to deepen. Taking a final stretch, so arms lengthening towards the space behind you, feet reaching forward. Just give yourself the opportunity to move a little bit. And then gently draw your knees towards your chest and roll onto one of your sides, or you can rock and roll up to a seat, whatever you prefer, but we're landing in a seated position with the eyes closed, bringing a hand to the belly, a hand to the chest. Inhale through your nose and exhale out through your mouth. Again, deep breath in. Open the mouth and exhale. Inhale, palms together. Lift your thumb knuckles up to the space between your brows, that third eye center, and just very gently fold forward over your mat in an offering of your practice up, that all beings may experience the wonders of this practice through your senses. Thank you all so much for practicing with me this morning. Feel free to stay on. If you have questions for me about any part of the practice or about the logistics of using Zoom, feel free. I'm happy to answer questions. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your day. It was so good to see you all.